Good morning, students. Hope all of you are doing well. Let's enter the world of political science again with the quote of famous political philosopher Thomas Hill Green, T.H. Green. T.H. Green was an English philosopher, a political radical, and a temperance reformer. Temperance was a self-restraint movement of 18th and 19th century, which was widespread in Eastern Europe especially. This movement was actually for the prohibition of the toxic beverages, so making people to self-restrain and to prohibit themselves these toxic beverages. This was the temperance movement in which T.H. Green was an influential figure. T.H. Green, in his most notable works, quoted that human consciousness postulates liberty. Liberty involves rights, and rights demands for the state. That is, it simply means that, according to T.H. Green, that it is the human consciousness. The consciousness simply means for the Green is that the work of the mind. That according to Green, that it is the work of the mind to postulate different kind of hypotheses and theories. And when it comes to the theories, human mind always have given the primary place to the liberty or the freedom, which is essential for its own development. So it is the human consciousness that postulate different theories, and in different theories we have given the primary place to the liberty, and these liberty involves various kinds of rights like right to vote, right to speech, right to live, right to work, and these all rights demands for the state. Why? Because we need a state to protect these rights, we need a state to guard these rights, we need a state for the safety of these rights, for the enforcement of these rights. This is what T.H. Green is trying to summarize in his own words. So in this context, let's move further. In my previous lectures, which I have taken long ago, there was a difference, there's a time gap between my previous lecture and this lecture which I am taking right now, as it was because of the busy offline schedule. But in my previous lectures, I taught you about the political science. First of all, what do we mean by the word political, that is the affairs of the city, and why we attach the word science to this. Science simply means a process. It is not distinguishing, or it is not defining. Science doesn't imply to the subjects, but it is a process of gaining the knowledge through observation, experiments, and investigation. When these observations, experiments, and investigation are applied to the political world, then it is termed as political science. So simply we learn about the political science, and after learning about the political science, we move further for the class 11th NCERT, which is Indian Constitution at Work. First of all, I dictate you about the essence of the book Indian Constitution at Work, that what is the essence behind the book Indian Constitution, or what the NCERT want to convey to the students, or what they want students to develop their ideologies after reading this book. After that, we move toward further and look on the brief introduction of the chapters that are included in the book Political Science, the Indian Constitution at Work. The chapters like the Constitution, why and how. Second chapter was like fundamental rights, and third was the election and representation. I gave you a brief detail about these chapters. After this book, we move further towards the second book, which was known as Political Theory, which is also a part of the curriculum of political science of class 11th. In this book, Political Theory, I actually dictate you, first of all, the word, what does the word theory signifies. The theory simply signifies that when the theory means that a set of ideas, or the set of values, or the set of morals that are intended to explain something. When these set of principles or ideas are trying to explain the political world, then it is termed as political theory. So this was the brief introduction of the political theory. After the brief introduction of the political theory, we move further, and I try to give you also a brief introduction or discussion, or give a brief detail about the chapters that are included in the political theory. So first chapter was the political theory and introduction, which we again we are going to define the political theory. What are the different aspects of the political theory? Why do we need political theory? What do we study in political theory, and why political theory is important for our daily lives? So this is about what is included in the first chapter. And the second chapter is about the freedom, as I give you a brief introduction in which I taught you that there is a difference between freedom and liberty. So these are the basic concepts which we are going to understand in the second chapter as well, freedom. Third chapter is about the equality. Fourth chapter is about the social justice. That first I taught you about what is justice, give you a brief introduction of the justice, and then why this justice is currently attached to the social justice, what we mean by the social justice, and why social justice is mandatory in present world. That in social justice we actually try to bring the vulnerable groups or the marginalized sections of the society into the mainstream. This is what is the concept behind the social justice. And the fifth chapter was about the rights. What are the rights? What are the different types of the rights, and how rights are being protected and guided by the states, and how rights are bestowed to the citizens. So after the brief introduction of these 5 chapters in my previous lectures, in this particular lecture we are going to discuss further about the last 3 chapters of this book, Political Theory. The 6th chapter of the political theory is citizenship. So citizenship is a crucial concept. See, when it comes to the citizenship, it is a crucial concept, and if we look in the present context as well, it is a contentious issue or a debatable issue in our country as well, from like implementation of the CA and NRC in Indian subcontinent, and there was also protest of some communities against the CA and NRC. So it became important for us, first of all, to understand what is the citizenship and what are the different kind of theories that citizenship involve, how citizenship originate, and these concepts are mandatory for us to understand as a citizen and also as a student as well. So the 6th chapter is about the citizenship. First of all, in this chapter we will try to define the word citizenship, that what we actually mean by the word citizenship. If we come to the literal meaning of the citizenship, or if we come to the basic definition of the citizenship, that it simply means that when a person or a community is entitled to full and equal membership of a political community, then it is termed as citizenship. So first of all, we are going to define the citizenship in this chapter. That first is the thing that citizenship simply means that when a person is granted, or when a person is given full and equal membership of a political community, then this membership is known as citizenship. Now, what do we mean by the full and equal membership? Full simply means that whatever the resources that state have, or whatever the facilities the state is promising to deliver you, it will deliver you completely. Not like it to some extent, or not like to 50% or 20% of that facilities are going to be delivered to the citizen, but all of the facilities in which the state is capable of giving the facilities, these facilities will be provided by the state to everyone. First thing is that full membership, that is all the facilities, state will bestow you all the facilities. And the second thing is the equal membership. It simply means that whatever the facilities is given to you, equally these facilities or these rights or these entitlements will be provided to each and every citizens in an equal sphere or with equality. There will be no discrimination by the state in providing the facilities or the membership. So therefore, if you have the membership of a state, then you will not be discriminated on any grounds, and you will be provided full facilities by the state or full rights by the states. So first definition is this. So this definition simply terms as the citizenship simply means that when a member, or when a community or a person is entitled to full and equal membership of a political community, then it is termed as a citizen. Second, there is also another definition for the citizenship. Second definition can be like that: right of having rights. That when you have a right of having rights which are provided by the state, this legal relationship is also termed as citizenship. The right of having rights is also termed as citizenship. There can be one also more definition of citizenship, that when a person is entitled to the political rights as well as to the social rights, when a person get both political rights as well as the social rights. Political rights simply means that right to vote, right to contest election, right to criticize their government, right to support their government. All of these are the political rights which are only given to the citizens. Then when the person gets political right as well as the social rights simply means like right to education, right to live, right to work, right to reside in any part of the country. These are the social rights. So when a person is given the social rights as well as the citizenship rights or the political rights, then a person is entitled to a citizen. That is, the person is the citizen. This legal agreement between the state and a person, that state is providing the political rights as well as the social rights to a person, then this legal agreement is known as the citizenship. So these are the various definitions of the citizenship. So citizenship simply means that when a person is given full and equal membership of a political community, then it is termed as citizenship. So this was the basic concept of the citizenship. This is how we are going to start this chapter. After the definition of the citizenship, there comes the concept that from where the concept of citizenship arises. See, citizenship is simply terms is that it is a legal agreement between a state and a person. The concept of citizenship actually arises from the ancient Greek civilization. But there is a difference of the citizenship, what citizenship means during that particular time and what we understand about citizenship in modern words, because it has changes with the time. First of all, if we try to understand what citizenship mean in ancient Greek, it simply means that the person who is actually active in politics is can be entitled to a citizen. Those who are not actively engrossed in politics, they cannot be entitled as a citizen during the Greek civilization or the ancient Greek civilization. But now, if there is a legal agreement between the state and a person, then the person will be entitled to a citizenship, irrespective of the fact that whether the person is active in politics or person is inactive in the politics. If they have signed the legal agreement, then the person is particularly a citizen of that country. So this is where the concept of the citizenship arises. After knowing the origin of the citizenship concept, we will move further and we will try to understand that citizenship and different nations. There's different nations in present modern world have different connotations, have different dimensions of giving citizenship to the people. So like the US government, Israel government, Germany government, Indian government, because Indian constitution also give accommodate a diverse sections of the society in the definition of their citizenship. When it comes to the Indian citizenship, then there are majorly 5 grounds of Indian citizenship. The first one is the birth, second one is the descent, third is the naturalization, fourth is the registration, and fifth is the inclusion of the territory. So these are the 5 grounds on which Indian government can provide citizenship to a person. After giving the hand or having the knowledge of citizenship of Indian government and how Indian government can provide you the citizenship, we will move further and look that are full and equal membership accorded to each and every person in this world? No. Why? Because there are many groups which are not given full membership, or there are many groups which are not given equal membership in citizenship category. For example, if you look at some communities, the communities like the refugee communities, they do not have citizenship of any country. And in present world or in present context, if you do not have a citizenship of any country or any state, then it is merely impossible for you to learn, grow and develop yourself in this world. For example, the community of Rohingyas, which are in Bangladesh presently, they are fleeing from Bangladesh to India as an illegal immigrants. They are not provided citizenship in any country, not in the Myanmar, not in Bangladesh, and not in India as well. So they will not have a right to education, they will not have a right to work, they will not have right to properties, and without these rights, they will live like a slaves. This is just an example of Rohingyas. There can be second example of the people who are in the Palestine, because Palestine is not accorded the recognition of a state. So the people largely they are the refugees who are moving from one place to another without any legal agreement with any government. So no government are providing them these rights. So refugees are the people who are not given the full membership or equal membership, as we call there as citizenship. There is another group as well who were not given the equal membership. For example, the migrants. The term migrant simply means there is a difference between the term refugee and the term migrants. What is the difference? The simply means refugee is a person who move from one place to another place because of the war or ethnic violence. When there is ethnic violence or a war, then when due to these two reasons, when a person move from one place to another, it will be termed as a refugee. But the second term is the migrant. What is a migrant? Migrant also move from one place to another, but his reasons are different or different from of the refugee. When a person, for the purpose of education, for the purpose of betterment of their economic life, or for the betterment of their living standard, move from one place to another place, then it will be termed as a migrant. See, migrant does not move because of the violence or because of the war. They move just for the betterment of their own education or betterment of their own economic life. So these are the migrants. And migration can be internal migration, or they can be also an external migration as well. For example, if you look at India, there is a internal migration also. For example, people of Bihar or the northern areas move from north to south in search of work, or many people from the south move towards the northern India in search of work or any other aspects. So these are known as the internal migration. And second one is the external migration, when people from India move abroad for the betterment of their economic life or the purpose of education, then it is known as external migration. There are some aspects in migrations in which due to migration some of the people feel like they are being discriminated, and they are called as outsiders by the people who are the residents of that particular place. For example, the people from Bihar and UP have migrated towards the South India in search of work, and many of the South Indian communities or many of the South Indian organizations have labeled them as they are the outsiders. But they are not the outsiders, they are the citizen of India, and but they have moved in the south in search of work. So many people feel that they are going to replace them or taking their space of employment, so they label them as they are the outsiders. And due to this label, these people of Bihar or the UP are facing discrimination on a major level, and this discrimination results in the impoverishment of the society. This discrimination sometimes results even in the violence as well. As you can look at the example of the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, many people from the south, specifically from the Maharashtra or the Karnataka area, who belong to the North Indian states, were moving from the south to the northern areas of the country. So nobody was giving them a full-fledged attention, and many of them died during their walk to their home. So this is what the problems are faced by the migrants. So the question here comes that even the migrants are the citizens of this country, but they are not getting equal membership, or they are not getting equal facilities which others portion of the society has taken. So this is the where question: who will provide them the equal rights or equal protection? And then there comes the concept. The third point is the slum dwellers. The slum dwellers are also the group which are present in the country, and these slum dwellers also doesn't get the equal membership, because the areas in which they are living, these areas are completely impoverished areas. They don't have any safety, or they don't have any hygiene in their areas. And these people who are living in the slum dwellers, they usually used to work they are working as a gatekeeper, or they are working as a driver, or they are working as a maid in someone's home, and they are working at very low wages as well. So government is not focusing completely on these slum dwellers as well. So the government must have focus on these slum dwellers as well, to improve their living conditions as well, because they are also the citizens of this country. So why they are not given the full and equal membership as like other members of the country? So this is what the questions which are debatable, that even if they are having a legal agreement with the government, even after this legal agreement, they are not have access of equal resources, education, and all these things. So why? Therefore, here comes the concept of that these people are not getting full and equal membership. There is also one more group which are known as the forest dwellers, or we can term as the people who are residing in the forest, or the tribal groups. The tribal groups are still struggling for the full and equal membership, because their forest lands have been cleared, and national parks have been set up in their areas. So their livelihood on which they used to depend has been snatched away by the government, or we can see that snatched away by the societies who call themselves that we are the forward societies. So these rights, so the people, these tribal people also face similar like conditions, that they don't have livelihood, they don't have skills, they don't have proper education in their areas. So they are also the members of this country. So why these people, despite of having citizenship, are not getting equal and full membership, or the full rights or full citizenship? So these are the debatable questions in the citizenship. So after debating all of these questions, we will move further and try to get the concept of, there is a concept of global citizenship as well. So first of all, we will define the citizenship, then we will come towards the group who do not get the full and equal membership, like the group of refugee, the migrants, or the slum dwellers, or the forest or the tribal groups. And after this, we will move further towards the concept of global citizenship. In recent period, due to globalization, there comes a concept of global citizenship, or we can say that it is a cosmopolitan world, that every person should get a citizenship of the entire globe, that a globe must act like a state. The earth must entirely act like a state, and every citizen would get a citizenship that they can move at any place of the world without any legal documents, or without having the documents of different countries. So different countries must come together and form a complete state that can be termed as a supranational or supra state as well, supranational state. So forming this state will give you a collective identity of the world. Why the concept of global citizenship arises? It is because that we think that there are many problems which cannot be solved by a single state. For example, if we look at the problem of the global warming, or the problem of the climatic change, or the rising level of the seas, or the depleting level of the glaciers, these are not the concern of one country, or no country can single-handedly solve these problems. So we need the collective efforts to solve these problems. So for making the collective efforts and collective cooperation, we need the collective identity. And what will provide us the collective identity? The global citizenship will provide us the collective identity. So this is the concept behind the global citizenship. But this is also a contentious issue. We will discuss in detail about the global citizenship when we will come to the chapter of citizenship. After citizenship, there is the chapter of nationalism, seventh chapter, which is about the nationalism. See, it is mandatory for all of us as a student to understand the concept of the nationalism. So first of all, we will try to define the term nationalism. What do we mean by the nationalism? From where the concept of nationalism arises? When it comes to the definition of nationalism, I have two definitions of the nationalism. The first definition is about of the 16th and 17th century. This definition is actually a narrow definition, and another definition for the nationalism is the 20th or 21st century definition of nationalism. This is a broader definition, or the meaning which dictate actually the broader meaning of the nationalism. When it comes to the definition of nationalism of 16th century, it can be defined as like when a people or group of people living in a specific geographical area. The first prerequisite condition is that having a geographical area. When a group of people living in a geographical area, and these people belongs to the same community, these people belongs to the same race, these people have one language, these people have one culture, that is, they are all identical. When these identical group of people and they are living in a specific geographical area, and they develop some feelings of love, sacrifice, devotions, development towards their area, this feeling is particularly known as nationalism. So this is the narrow definition. Why I am calling it a narrow definition? Because we are here targeting towards only one community, which have one religion, one language, one culture. Only they can develop the feeling of love and sacrifice for their area. This was the definition of the nationalism. This definition actually originated in Europe during the 16th century, when the initial process of formulating nation states was starting. So this is the narrow definition of the nationalism, and some people still believes in this narrow definition of the nationalism, but I usually don't believe in these narrow definitions of nationalism. And then comes the concept of broader meaning of the nationalism. The second is the broader meaning of nationalism. It can be defined like as that when a group of people living in specific geographical area, but they have different cultures, they have different languages, they have different religion, they have different ideologies, they have different beliefs. But despite of being different, they have common sense of love, sacrifice, devotion, development for their specific geographical area. Then this feeling of devotion and sacrifice is known as nationalism in a broader perspective. So this is how we define nationalism in present terms, because in the period of globalization, we cannot use the narrower terms like one culture, one person, or the one community, or the one language will form a nation. But in a broader sense, we are telling that when different kind of people have the same kind of feeling for their own specific geographical area, then it can be termed as a nationalism. It can be also termed as a pluralism as well. The pluralism simply means that broader meaning of the nationalism. So this is the definition of the nationalism, and after defining the nationalism, we will move further and try to gain that what is the origin and what are the different phases of nationalism. The nationalism simply originates from the Europe in 16th century, and after that it moves further from the different phases, like the phase of the French Revolution, the phase of the unification of Germany, the phase of the unification of Italy. These are the different phases of nationalism, originating nationalism. And after, when the nation states were formed, these nation states get into the conflict with each other during the World War I and the World War II. So there are different types of phases through which nationalism has went through. And with these phases, the definition of nationalism has also changes from the narrower definition, which I dictated you earlier, to the broader meaning of the nationalism, we have came to the conclusion of the broader meaning of the nationalism. So this is what we mean by the this is how we can define the nationalism. Second is the origin and phases. After the origin and different phases of the nationalism, we come to the third point, that what are the particular elements of the nationalism. See, nationalism has particular elements through which it can survive. For example, if we look at the elements, what are the elements? Then elements can be broadly categorized into 4 to 5 points. For example, if we look at the elements, the first element is the shared belief. If you do not have a shared beliefs, then you cannot formulate a nation, or you cannot constitute a nation. So first condition is that when people have a shared belief, only these beliefs or these common vision can formulate a nation. The first element of formulating a nation is that they must have a shared belief. Second element of formulating a nation is that the people must have a sense of unity in their history, that all of their history must dictate them or denote them towards the sense of unity. So second element is about the history. Third element of formulating a nation is that having a shared political vision, that maximum or all of the people who are inside the nation, they must have a same kind of political vision towards for their betterment of their own country. For example, if we look at the India, then I think everyone in India will have a same political vision, that to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, democratic republic. So this is our shared vision. That is why we are also we can term ourselves as a nation. So politics, history, political vision, shared belief, history, these are the particular elements of the nationalism. After defining the particular elements of the nationalism, we will move further, and after this we will try to understand that there is a definition of nationalism which was given by the Rabindranath Tagore. So Tagore was slightly different in providing the definition of the nationalism. Tagore stated that if it comes to the point of patriotism, then I will not let patriotism to dominate the feeling of the humanity, or to dominate the humanity. Why? Because Tagore thinks that it is the humanity, the humanity must be the ultimate goal of every person, because it is the humanity through which we can serve the people. When it comes to the concept of patriotism, he said that patriotism is fine, but it must not override the humanity. So for Tagore, humanity is at its first stage, and then comes the concept of the patriotism. So for Rabindranath Tagore, he quoted that for me, I give my first priority to the humanity, not to the patriotism, and then after humanity there can be the concept of patriotism, but first of all we have to be a human and we have to serve for the humanity, and thereafter there comes the concept of the patriotism. Because why Tagore stated it? Because according to Tagore, extreme patriotism can lead towards the conflict and violence is not the essence or not the element of a humanity. So therefore he said that there must not be an extreme patriotism, like the extreme patriotism which Hitler has shown in the Germany. So these kind of extreme patriotism can lead towards the violence and killings of and mass killings or ethnic cleansing as well. So this is the concept of the Rabindranath Tagore's definition. We will have a bit detailed understanding of the Rabindranath Tagore's nationalism. And the last chapter is known as the secularism. This is the chapter 8 of the political theory. In this chapter, we will understand the word secularism properly, because there is a debate, there is a religious debate all over the world, and especially in the country India, which is completely diversified. Many religions exist in India. So there is a question that to whom India belongs. It actually belongs to everyone, but sometimes there is a contentious question that to whom India belongs, whether it belongs to the one particular community or one religion or one culture, or it belongs to the all communities or cultures which are residing in the country. So here comes the concept of secularism. The term secularism was not actually mentioned in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. It was added later during the Indira Gandhi reign. But the concept of secularism was also in the original constitution, likewise from the article 25 to 28. They all are pointing us towards the secularism. First of all, we will try to define the term secularism. But before the definition of the secularism, we will have to understand the basics of the secularism. Like in introduction point, there is a point dharm, and we will have to understand this point dharm. What do we mean by the dharm? In simple terms, dharm here is trying to define towards the religion. We are using the term religion for the dharma, and we are using the word religion for the secularism. Then we will move further towards the definition of the secularism. Secularism simply means that to separate. It simply means, when I try to define it in simple terms, it simply means that to separate the religion from the state. That religion must not interfere in the matters of the state, and state must not interfere in the matters of the religion. This is what the simple definition of the secularism. Why? Because if we look at the ancient and medieval political structures all around the world, the political structures were completely influenced by the religion. For example, if you look at the 9th to 15th century Europe, then the political structure were completely inspired by the churches, and they were dominated by the churches or the priest or the pope. And this was the same condition in India as well. During the ancient time period, the Hindu community was dominant, or the Hindu religion was dominant, or the society was completely guided by the kings, and the kings were largely by the Hindus. And during the medieval time period, the kings were the sultans were the Muslims, and they were the people who guided the society according to their own religious laws. So we know that the religion have a major influence on the life of the people, but then comes the concept of the secularism during the 18th and 19th century, that in the world of globalization, different kind of people who belong to the different religion live in the same space. So if we try to give one religion more dominance over the other, then it will lead towards the discriminations toward of the another section of the society. Then there comes the concept that why can't we separate the religion completely or entirely from the state? The religion will work in their own space, and the state will work in their own space. We will not combine or accumulate state with the religion. So this is the concept behind the secularism, that is to separate the religion entirely from the state, that both of them will not interfere in their spheres or in their working spheres. This is the concept of secularism. After the definition of the secularism, we will move towards the idea, or the move towards the understanding of the theory which was propounded by the George Jacob Holyoake, who is known as the propounder of the secularism. George Jacob Holyoake stated that there are four main elements of the secularism. The first one is the neutrality towards the religion, that is, a state must not favor or state must not get against the religion, but they maintain a neutral position in the matters of the religion. This is the first element according to George Jacob Holyoake of the secularism. Second element is that this worldliness, that people must have to think about this world and not about the divine world, because we don't know about the divine world and we don't know what will happen to us after the death, but we exactly know about our present world as well. So this worldliness is the second element of the secularism as propounded by the George Jacob Holyoake. The third term is the science. Holyoake stated that science also must be included in the secularism. Why we must include science? Because we have to observe everything around us, we have to experiment everything around us, we have to investigate everything around us, and after this observation and experiment and investigation, we have to gain the knowledge. We don't have to believe in the superstitious. So there must be the concept of science, which should be included in the secularism. And the fourth point is the religious morality. That is, morality simply means a force or a consciousness inside a human body to state that what is right and what is wrong. That is to have such a conscious level to state the difference between right and wrong. This is what the basic meaning of the morality. So when these four elements, like the neutrality towards the religion, second is the this worldliness, third is the science, and fourth is the religious morality, when these four elements get combined, then secularism then this ideology is particularly known as secularism. This is what the definition of the George Jacob Holyoake. After this definition of understanding the secularism, we will move further and try to understand that when it comes to the secularism, what is the Indian model of the secularism and what is the Western model of the secularism. Only the terms are same, but the models are entirely different. The Western model of the secularism is entirely different from the Indian model of the secularism. When it comes to the Western model, they said that the religion and the state must be entirely separated, and both of them will not interfere in the matters of each other. But in India, we have two dimensions of this particular line. First is that state and religion must be separated. That is, state will not have any religion. Like Indian Constitution or India do not have any religion. But when it comes to the interference, then government can interfere or state can interfere in religious denomination. Why? State will interfere to maintain the equality in the religious spheres. That is why in Indian secularism, state can interfere in religious matters, but in Western secularism, state will not enter in any kind of religious matters. So this is the first and major difference between these two ideologies. Then it comes to the another difference is that there are no rights provided to the minorities in the Western concept of the secularism, but in Indian concept of secularism, there are the rights which are provided to minorities. For example, if you look at the Article 29 and 30, we have specifically mentioned about the rights of the minorities in our country. So Indian secularism model provides the rights for the minority and the safeguards the rights of the minorities as well. So there are many differences between the Western model and the Indian model of the secularism. After these differences, we will came to a conclusion that there are many criticism of secularism in India as well. That some people used to say that secularism in India is anti-religious, but it is not anti-religious. Some people state that it is very interventionist, that it's interfere in each and every matter, but it is not interventionist up to the extent of the government, or if we look at to the extent of the bills that are formulated by the government in different religious matters, they all are trying to provide equality in religious domination. For example, there can be two types of domination: inter-religious domination or intra-religious domination. When it comes to the inter-religious domination, it simply means that there is a conflict between two different religions, and they are one of them and other is trying to victimize someone, or they trying to dominate on that other particular religion. So this is known as inter-religious domination. To resolve these inter-domination or inter-religious domination conflicts, government have to interfere in the religious matters. And second is the intra-religious domination. Intra-religious domination simply means that when within a particular religion there is a conflict of domination. For example, if we look at the Hindu community or the Hindu religion, there is always a conflict between the upper caste and the lower caste. They always have a conflict regarding to the domination. So to solve these conflict, to give people or to bestow people equality, government must have to interfere in India in religious matters. Why? Because India, and there is also reason that the religious superstitious religious backwardness is more prevalent in India as compared to the Western countries, because Western countries have by and large uniformly accepted the reforms which were in the Christianity or any other religion which West follows. But in India, still we are in the phase of the reformation. So therefore, the government must have interfered in the religious matters. Then it comes to the another criticism that it is a vote bank politics. Secularism is a vote bank politics model of Indian government or the Indian community or the Indian politician or for the Indian politicians. This is also true, but it up to a limited extent. But if the vote bank is for the politics positive purposes, then it is fine. But if the vote bank is for the negative purposes, then it is wrong. But by and large, vote bank politics is also fine in secularism, in the concept of secularism. So these are the criticism of the secularism of concept of India. So this is the 8th chapter and the final chapter of political theory, which we have given, which I have given you a brief introduction. So in my all previous lectures, I have given you a brief introduction about the political theory, political science, then the Indian Constitution, then the book Indian Constitution at Work, what are the chapters that are included in that book. Then we move further and try to understand what is political theory, about the book, the essence of the book, and 8 chapters are totally included in this book, and I have given you a brief introduction of all of these chapters. In my next lectures, we will start with the chapter of Indian political theory or political science, whichever chapter. And we will have a detailed information of all of these chapters one by one. So till then, take care. Thank you.